All right, this is another Coast to Coast Wrestling podcast. We had about a couple week hiatus, one because one of our episodes didn't get uploaded. Is that what happened? Or and then one because we missed one because you're
Well, Dan
Will's
went on.
final.
Yeah, Dan went on. Our producer, who uploads our show because we are incapable of getting it to the places it needs to get
Yes,
to. He went on his honeymoon. He's back.
right.
I do believe last week's got posted.
It did.
It did.
The
So he was
12-10
back.
episode did.
Well, not last week. Well, we didn't do the one last week. The previous week, I
Yeah.
had finals. I had to take a little break from all things wrestling, and we are back. And man, Raw sucks right now. Personally, I mean, it's a painful show
Yeah.
to watch.
It does actually. I mean, it's still like pizza, and even bad, it's still gonna watch. But yeah, it has been very good. I mean, it's just a crazy little holding pattern the world is in, and it's honestly it's been like that since after Survivor Series. To be honest,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just
very
like
weird.
they probably have some stuff really big planned for the Royal Rumble, but they just haven't been able to, progress it with entertainingly, if you will.
No, they haven't. I mean, SmackDown's been okay, but they had a show to build up to, whereas Raw's been waiting for a Royal Rumble, and they've been kind of spreading it out a little bit, I feel like. But we had Clash last weekend, which I didn't watch in its entirety. I watched the tag match, the Owens, Zayn, Nakamura, Orton tag match, and I watched the main event. Both were decent enough, and the right outcome, thankfully, to the world title match.
The tag title match I thought was great.
Yeah.
The lumberjack match with the women, The main event, I think it was what's his name? Ginger just kind of stumbled his way through it, but it was okay. The tag match was really well done, I thought, and I know a lot of people are waiting for like a Daniel Bryan heel turn, a Shane McMahon heel turn, or some kind of clear, occurrence to happen that would kind of, shift the momentum. We'd find out if Daniel Bryan was going to wrestle again. I think people had real high expectations of an actual, thing to happen. But you got nothing more than just kind of a safe cop-out, tag the storyline along a little more of a tease. More of a tease than anything else, I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Which
think
was fine.
I think they're building up to Mania, so I mean, it's going to be a bit of a slow burn before finally something happens. I think between the two of them, and which is fine if that's what you're building to.
Yeah.
Still don't know for sure if that's what's happening, but I mean,
who knows? All I know is that as wrestling fans, what a dickish thing to do if Daniel Bryan is not going to get in the ring again. Pretty fucked up with the lead him along, because I mean, this is even more obvious.
Yeah.
Than the Miz thing, because he had a lot of people around it kind of distracting to that. Other guys going for the IC title. So that I thought it's a little bit different now, because there's nothing in front of Shane other than Daniel Bryan and vice versa. So if it doesn't lead to a match between the two or some, other kind of conclusion, it's like I said, I said it on our Mets board. It's like the Mets going up 5-0, going down 5-0 in the ninth and getting 3 runs and then grounding to a double play.
Classic.
It's just the tease. So
yeah, I mean, I think we are headed to a Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan match. I think we're going there. It's going to be slow burn because this
something is got to water it down. But if that happens, I'll be very happy. But there's a little bit of doubt it's going to be watered down. Like it's going to be Daniel Bryan in a bubble or something, or it's going to look like Bret Hart's match against Vince McMahon, where it just wasn't really a match, or I don't know. There's just like,
I don't expect a full-on match between the two of them. I mean, Daniel hasn't been in the ring in 2-3 years now, so I mean, I don't expect to see a Matt Classic, but I expect to see a Shane McMahon type match where they beat the crap out of each other. They do some safe spots. Shane will take most of the abuse, I would imagine.
Or it's kind of at the end of his run, as Shawn Michaels just taking a bunch of street fights because he didn't have to do too many bumps and spots or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect, like I said, I don't expect the world out of his first match back, but it sounds like he's getting some sort of clearance from someone, so hopefully we see him back at least, for the big shows, because I think he's a guy who can really put some people over and boost up some of the younger talent. I'm sure he'd like to wrestle some of the younger talent too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And hey, Dolph Ziggler, that was a bit of a surprise, I thought.
Yeah, I was very surprised because I didn't watch it, and I asked you who won, and you told me Dolph, and I'm like, wow, really? Okay. I assumed he was there to eat the pin.
It was one of those things where you could just see probably Vince in the back, where all the buzz was, oh, it's Bobby Roode's time. We'll see Bobby Roode win, or
I was fine with keeping it on Corbin. I thought Corbin's been okay.
Or Baron will retain. So I think they just went against the grain on that one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they saw, for lack of a better term, they saw like the betting lines, and they saw that they just had to swing it and give it to Dolph. But hey, let's see what he does with it. I kind of liked what he was doing on SmackDown, coming out there telling the fans they're assholes and stuff like that. I love that stuff. So,
did you watch SmackDown this week?
What's that?
Did you watch SmackDown this week?
Yes, I just finished it today. Actually.
Yeah, I don't know what all that meant. With Dolph, he dropped the belt and left.
Yeah, well, it's a cliffhanger. It makes you wonder what's going on, so I don't mind it. Let's see here. I guess we could just kind of move over to Raw this week. I wish I could tell you. Like I said this week after week, man, I respect the shit out of Kane. I know all that stuff, but man, I just don't need to see him anymore. I don't see the point. He's not going to be in one of their WWE studio movies. He's not. He's running for fucking mayor, so I have no idea why he's out there unless he needs some last-minute campaign money.
Well, I don't think that race is not for a while. I don't think. I think he announced his.
It's not till May.
Yeah,
actually,
it's a while, so he's got time. And it's a small town. He doesn't necessarily need to go around the country or anything like that
I guess we could just kind of start with the big news.
Yeah,
which was there's going to be Royal Rumble,
a women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Didn't I say that?
You know what? I think you cut out at that point. All we heard is
women's Royal
Rumble. I'm like,
one, and I think that's great. I think they're overdue. I was even saying we need a Royal Rumble. We need tag titles. We need something else for them to revolve around. And yeah, great.
Yeah, I like it for multiple reasons. One, it kind of cuts down on having to fill the rest of the card. You can have a women's Royal Rumble. I would open it. I would open with that personally, and finish with the men's. That kills like a good 45 minutes, so you don't have to like try to cram all these guys in, and it leaves more people for the other Rumble. Because sometimes
I'd have two rings and have them both go on at the same time.
That's an interesting idea. I don't think they're a big fan of two rings. I think it'd take a lot of arm twisting to convince them War Games was a good idea, but that would be interesting to watch them try to call both. I think Michael Cole's head would fucking explode.
I don't give a shit about that triple threat match. This is probably the least intriguing of the Brock Lesnar matches this year, of the 5 we've gotten this year.
The question is, does Vince look at it the same way he looked at the Dolph match and go, let's do something unexpected? And does he put the belt on Braun without having Brock beaten? Because Kane's there for one thing, in my opinion, and that's to get pinned by whether it's be pinned by Brock or pinned by Braun. He's there to be pinned by someone.
It just depends on if they want Brock with that title for Mania or not.
But there's no rule that you can't. You got Elimination Chamber. That's a Raw show, right? So there's no rule that that's going to stay on whoever is there. And maybe they don't know what they want to do with Braun. Maybe you go triple threat there. You go Reigns, Braun.
I don't see Brock getting in the chamber though.
No, but Brock, I could see Brock getting in the. I don't see Brock taking a bump in the chamber. I can see Brock throwing people through things in the chamber. I don't see Brock.
I guess I could see him win that match to Well, I have the feeling that you're going to have a SmackDown person win the Royal Rumble, and the Elimination Chamber is going to decide who gets the title shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. But, plans can change, and like you said, maybe they want to throw a little excitement into it. And, if it's going to be, who knows what the plans are at this point? Nobody really knows. Dean Ambrose is injured now. Who knows when he's coming back? So, I mean, things might be kind of in flux, and maybe things aren't as solid as we think. I mean, and can we talk if Nakamura doesn't win the Royal Rumble, who is an acceptable winner that won't get shit on at this point? At this point, everybody's assuming it's Nakamura, right? And that crowd is super
he's the odds-on
smarky.
favorite. But last year, who won the Royal Rumble last year?
Orton
won it. He did that whole little storyline against Bray.
But people were cool with it because who was the last one? It was him and who? It wasn't Bray, I don't think, but it was him and someone else. What? I
think it was Roman.
Yes, it was him and Roman. You're right, and so people were like, "Okay, it wasn't Roman. Thank God."
Exactly. That's why it was It was kind of book smart if that's what you were going to go with.
Right. So who is the alternative to Nakamura that won't get crapped all over? Because that's the big thing to me is if Nakamura doesn't win, that smarky crowd is going to turn on whoever wins the Royal Rumble at that point.
Let me back up on this. How did Goldberg? Okay, Goldberg won. I'm trying to think of how how did Lesnar get tabbed, the number one contender for the
Goldberg and Lesnar had a match already kind of penciled in, and then Goldberg won the belt, and so it became for the belt.
Gotcha. Okay, I don't see a scenario happening like that again, so I do think the Elimination Chamber will probably determine the Raw person if they don't, because there's not a way that SmackDown can do it unless they just do some other kind of Tuesday, they do it on SmackDown.
Oh, I definitely believe that SmackDown will be winning the Royal Rumble again. It makes total sense, especially if you have the Elimination Chamber there. But I just don't see like it's going to be one of those things where if it's not Nakamura or somebody that Smark's like, they're going to shit all over whoever it is. Like, and it's a weird predicament. And Vince doesn't like locked in things, right? So he's not going to like, people assuming that Nakamura is going to win. He's going to be pissed, probably. Am I talking to myself? I feel like I'm talking to myself. I definitely am talking to myself. All right, folks. We lost Justin, so I'm going to just keep talking about wrestling. Or maybe I'll talk about the Mets, because that got me fired up before. Mets really pissed me off. We will. Well, we just in the callback. We hope that maybe it didn't. An earthquake didn't happen in California, or the wildfires didn't get him, or something. And he calls back. But as I was saying, I believe that whoever wins the Royal Rumble will get crapped on if it's not Nakamura or Bobby Roode. It's a real problem for them, especially if they're going to go with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar as the main event, which I think will get shit on anyway. I think people are tired of it all. They're tired of dealing with the fact that that Brock's never there. Nobody cares about the triple threat, at least as far as I can tell. We're going to try calling him back again. Let's see what happens. He's messaging me now. This is all very interesting stuff. He thinks he's still on with me. So you're getting a little insight into what we deal with Google Hangouts. But, yeah. So this is what happens. We are not in the same room. He's all the way in California. He's by himself. He's living the bachelor life for the next couple of weeks. But this is what happens. I might take a trip out to California. My wife probably won't let me though. Not that she would not let me, but yeah, not without her anyway. We're back. We got Justin back. There was no earthquake. There was no wildfire. He's okay.
Yeah, I thought it might be raining out here, but it was just the wind. That's California. Hey, so where we left off, we were talking about who would the fans not shit all over for winning the Royal Rumble from SmackDown if it's not Nakamura. I kind of mentioned Bobby Roode. I don't know what you were talking about after that.
I had definitely mentioned Bobby Roode because I tried to hold my own while you were gone, and it did not work out that well for me. But yeah, I mentioned Bobby Roode would be a choice, but I don't think they're ready to pull the trigger on that yet. I mean,
that was just the question was who would the fans not shit on, and I think one of them would be Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
can't go wrong with Kevin Owens.
No, I think Kevin Owens would be a fine winner. Zayn
and Sami Zayn would even be a good one at this point.
I mean, there's definitely choices to win, but I just get the feeling everybody's going to be at a fever pitch for Nakamura and AJ. So I guess that's the next question. What's up with AJ at Royal Rumble? I mean, it doesn't appear that they have a solid plan as to who's going to face AJ Styles.
Well, here's the thing. We still got to think that WrestleMania's got to have that one poster match. Last year, it was Lesnar and Goldberg. Mm-hmm. So if the poster match, because honestly, as much as I love both guys, AJ Styles and Nakamura is not that casual fan poster match that they need.
No.
That likely is probably still going to be the Roman Brock Lesnar match. Unfortunately, the Shield possibilities kind of been derailed this week. I don't know if you heard about Dean Ambrose's injury.
Yeah, I mentioned it before. Maybe you were gone by
It's
then.
looking like he might be out past WrestleMania, but who knows? But
like I said, I think their timelines are kind of bullshit.
Muscle pull, or that effect, right?
Yeah, he hurt it. He hurt himself in some capacity, probably doing stuff with Renee. But yeah.
Or making Miracle Whip and Doritos sandwiches or whatever.
I mean, I could see where that's appealing. I mean, you have to eat it right away. You can't let the Doritos get soggy, but
Yeah, it's gross.
I mean, I didn't say it wasn't gross in the strictest terms, but I could see where if you're hammered, you're probably okay with it.
But no, I could see them not shitting on Kevin Owens winning because I know we've seen Kevin Owens and AJ Styles quite a few times, but they'd let them do it at WrestleMania and see if they give them 25 minutes, and let them see what they can do there. And I think people will be really happy with Kevin Owens winning the Royal Rumble.
See,
if it was,
I think a good choice for that match, or even if you do it at the Rumble, would be if you did Sami Zayn Owens versus AJ. I think that storyline, that kind of sidebar storyline of they're kind of teaming up against AJ until one of them decides, oh no, I want the belt. No, I want the belt, and then they can kind of be dickish heels to each other, and AJ still plays the face.
Yeah. I think that seems more like a Fastlane pay-per-view match right before WrestleMania than it does. And I don't know if they'll do a triple threat with that type of angle for WrestleMania.
No, probably not.
But, no, that's definitely not a bad idea. But I think that they should carry Sammy and Kevin along for a little while. And I think the next time that they do break up, I think you make Sammy stay the heel.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
and
you got it.
And then that's when you get that Kevin Owens baby face push that they could play on really well.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Kevin Owens' character stays relatively the same, that's fine with me. I think one of the worst things they tend to do is they try to get them to be, Kevin Owens is not, inherently a good guy. So let him be a dick. Just let him be a dick to the heels. Don't make him be, white meat babyface. He's not that guy. He's not going to play that role well. Sammy's that guy. But at the same time, Sammy's current heel character is fantastic. Everything about Sami Zayn right now is great.
Oh, absolutely. So that's why I'm like, leave him the heel, reverse it. At least make something different about it if it does happen. Don't just make it something where Kevin shits on him again and, cast him aside. Make it go the other way.
That's why, I mean, maybe that's the Royal Rumble, SmackDown championship match. Maybe you make that I mean, I know I'd like to drag it on a little further too, but I think there's only, I don't know who AJ Styles' opponent could be at the Royal Rumble itself,
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about the SmackDown side, yeah, but I think in terms of Raw with Royal Rumble, obviously I think Finn Balor people would love. I don't think people would be angry at Samoa Joe. I don't think, if it's going to happen.
No, there's definitely choices that are appealing to the smarky crowd, but, they're also not realistic choices of guys who are going to main event WrestleMania right now. Samoa Joe is not.
The no-brainer.
What?
The problem is that Nakamura is so obvious in terms of storyline and in terms of pleasing fans. It's like really a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes you just got to do the obvious thing, and I know Vince doesn't like to do that all the time, but I mean this one is it's right there for him. It's on a tee.
It's just one of those things where if they don't think of something, they know that's probably what they're going to do, but I guarantee they're racking their brain to try to avoid doing it right now, as we speak, if they haven't decided already.
Yeah.
So hopefully that just wins out over time, and they do the obvious. And I don't even care who wins. And like to me, there's no obvious winner. You don't have to necessarily have Nakamura win that match. We're not talking about like in '98 when everyone knew Stone Cold was going to win the title and all that stuff. Yeah. This doesn't. You can do it. You can go either way. Just get it to that match, and then you can be creative and make something different happen or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, I think they can go with the viewpoint of, all right, we're going to do Roman and Brock, and the casual fan will be fine with it. The smarky fan's going to hate it, but we'll do one for you, which will be Nakamura and AJ, and we'll do one for us. Like, that's how I would view it if I'm Vince. I'd be like, all right, look, you guys really want to see this match? Fine. Enjoy this match. I'm going to make you watch this shit. That's how I would look at it. Be like, you got two belts.
That's what WrestleMania is. That's what WrestleMania is. We have to accept that there's going to be a snooky match. We have to accept that there's going to be, there's going to be some stuff that's going to get the casual fans in, and that's just the way it is.
And speaking of the snooki match, and I'm not going to say that this person is snooky, but the rumor floating around is that one of the matches at Mania will be Asuka versus Ronda Rousey. And
yeah,
I hate the thought of that.
I was reading that earlier today. Well, obviously, with Ronda Rousey, she's not someone that you're going to store in NXT for a week. I mean, for a couple months.
She can probably use it, though. Let's be honest. If anybody could use time in NXT, it's going to be her. But you can't. I get it. You can't.
Absolutely, she probably can. But you know what? She probably, needs to come up a few months before WrestleMania and not wrestle for a while. Maybe have one match at the pay-per-view before or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's when you bring, the question I have is she going to be a mainstay on the roster? Because I'm okay with that if she is, because I think they can build her up properly. But the problem I have is if she's going to be a one-off, I don't want her to beat Asuka. Like, it's just not like that's not going to build her up in the eyes of the fans. It's going to be a detriment to her because people really enjoy Asuka. They respect Asuka. Here comes this woman who, to me, the aura is off her a little bit. The last couple fights she had were not competitive. She got beat, and I don't think there's this big aura around her anymore.
Yeah, I especially with her last couple fights, I guess she kind of is, sort of damaged goods in a way.
Yeah, but, and she's moving on to wrestling.
I think, yeah, definitely. I would just kind of obviously, with someone like that, let's just wait till after WrestleMania to really get that going.
Yeah, I mean, especially if she's going to stick around.
Though. They need that. I'm not. Yeah, like you said, we don't want to compare her to Snooki, but they do need that. Unless they're going to get like Conor McGregor or something like that, they're going to need that name, and I don't see that name isn't really there yet. Last year it was Goldberg.
I don't know if they need that name. The roster is so stacked. Sometimes you just got to go out there and have a fun wrestling show. You can have celebrities show up and do their thing, but I don't really see personally the need for a stupid ass.
I don't either. I totally agree with you, but they want to get somebody on that poster that everyone knows who they are.
Then feed her Alicia Fox and not Asuka. That's my thing. If this is the beginning of her...
No, that's whatever. Or she wins the Royal Rumble. I mean, or she wins the, if they have a women's Andre that, I don't know what the equivalent of the woman would be, but...
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, if they're going to do some sort of, clusterfuck match with them too at Mania, let her win that thing. I think that would be a great way to introduce her to the crowd, to the wrestling fan, because she's not gonna be able to pull off a full match with anybody.
And you know what? If you want to have her beat Asuka, let's save it for SummerSlam,
or save it for next year's WrestleMania. Build her up.
Because you know what, this might sound weird, but I don't think that Asuka has been built up enough in the eyes of the casual fan.
I agree.
Where she, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. She hasn't had a real feud yet. I mean, she's just been kind of beating, jobber women, jobber.
She's being built off to the side right now, unless they just go nuts with it the next 3 months.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's the right place or time for it. I think if you're going to do that match and that's your money match in your eyes, and Ronda's going to be on the roster for an extended period of time, I would keep her and Asuka away from each other. I would make that next year's WrestleMania match if that's what you really, really want.
Or SummerSlam.
Or SummerSlam. But I mean, to me, Asuka deserves a nice long run with the Raw Women's title or whoever SmackDown's Women's title, wherever she is by then. And then you can build it up from there. It also gives time to Ronda to figure her shit out. I mean, this isn't some thing you can just walk into and be cool with it. You need ring time.
You know what, though? For all we know, she's been training for it. Since
but training and having time in the ring to really get your shit together in matches crowds, is totally different.
Yeah, I don't think they would. I don't know. I don't really believe it because I think it is too soon just to say we're going to do this with this person when they've never been in front of a crowd at all.
I thought the obvious choice, I mean, based off what happened a couple of years ago, I would stick her in a match with Stephanie McMahon where they don't have to have a full-on wrestling match, but she can kind of get her feet wet, beat Stephanie, because who cares? Nobody cares. Stephanie's aura doesn't matter,
Right.
You can let shenanigans happen with the rest of the women's roster. Maybe she gets a couple women on her side. Maybe, she invokes, she gets, absolution on her side or something like that to kind of cause shenanigans. But I think Stephanie versus Ronda would make sense as a, hey, this is Ronda. She's going to kick the crap out of Stephanie now. And, she's going to start wrestling with the women. But, to me, I think you're setting Ronda up to fail if you're going to just stick her in a match at WrestleMania in front of the crowd.
I mean, to me, the women's Royal Rumble, to me, you know what I think's got to happen? I think you got to have a Carmella cash-in before the Royal Rumble because you got to get Charlotte in that Royal Rumble, and Charlotte's got to win the first women's Royal.
Charlotte would make the most sense, but there's also talk of Paige being a person that can win that, and I think that's probably true too. She didn't start it, but she was kind of like the first woman from NXT to kind of pop her head in. So, it would make sense for her too. Although that's putting a lot of trust in somebody that just came back themselves. So,
well, you know what? This is what I would say this. She didn't start the women's revolution, but she started the women's evolution. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, she was really the first one that was like pure in-ring skill.
Well, I mean, she had looks too. She had both.
Oh, absolutely.
She was the full package.
Looks, but she offered more of the, of the like pure wrestler.
You don't feel like AJ did that?
Tough girl. No, I think she did, but there was just something a little more tough and rugged about Paige.
Yeah.
And scarier about Paige. Where like if you see Paige walking down the street, you're like, man, she, like there's just something a little more intimidating, more wrestler-like about her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, AJ originally came out, she was basically just the I guess she wasn't really even a wrestler in the beginning, right? She was, Daniel Bryan's girlfriend. Like that was her gimmick.
That's what I'm saying. Like she was the first one that was brought up as a wrestler that looked like a wrestler. There was just something different about her that you spawned on a bunch of those pure wrestlers afterwards.
Yeah.
They weren't someone that was a diva or was a valet and then that just started getting in the ring.
Okay.
It's not a knock on AJ Lee because she was great and I wish she was still here because she'd probably still be at the top of everything. Because that led to Charlotte, that led to Bayley, that led to Sasha. We're all known for just being flat out wrestlers first.
Yeah.
So that's why I think evolution, like that's when all the women evolved into being those pure wrestlers. You had that she was the first one that came up that just didn't, probably with the exception of Natty. Natty might even be the argument for that.
Yeah.
But
she did, but she also came in at a weird, she was around she's been around a long time. She was around for Beth Phoenix, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think Paige is a choice though for the first women's Rumble match. Charlotte is always a good choice. I think Becky doesn't get enough love. I think Becky Lynch has kind of fallen in the cracks. I mean, they're setting up to.
Well, she's filming some movie with Shawn Michaels and The Miz. Whatever it is.
12, yeah.
Marine 58 or whatever it is. So I wouldn't necessarily say she's fallen out of favor. She's just kind of been written off for a minute.
Yeah, but she's
yeah,
kind of been out of the title picture for well over a year now, and she only held the belt for like a year. And part of that probably was because Alexa Bliss surprised the shit out of people with how good she was, and just didn't make sense to take the belt off her once she got it. But I think you could go with her too, because they're kind of. I mean, Becky and Charlotte are thick as thieves right now. I think you could have her win it. It doesn't have to go to a Raw person, even though it probably will. The first one, anyway. But you could have Becky win it and face Charlotte.
Maybe we'll see the first women's elimination chamber match.
Oh, God. We don't need to. We don't need to do that to them. I'm not a big fan of the match anyway, so I don't really want to see two of them, personally.
Yeah. Well, you might. I wouldn't rule it out. Honestly, I would make that they would have the two title matches.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would have a nice, huge, in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, I'd have a tournament to determine the first women's tag team match, tag team champs, and have that culminate at WrestleMania. So then you can kind of have more than just 4 women deciding, having some meaningful competition at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't hate it.
I think it's time, honestly.
I just hate getting so many damn titles involved, because you're trying to keep track of all
Yeah,
this.
but this isn't like just adding another men's title. This is, giving the women more than one title to go over. It's not
Are you
watering
doing it on
down.
each Raw and SmackDown?
I don't know.
Because if you're going to give it to one brand, you got to give it to the other. Like, that's, why do one set of women get it, not the other?
Yeah, I suppose. But, I mean, I think it's necessary. I think it's time.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that now you're adding, 2 sets of belts.
You know what? This is for the sake of adding more storylines.
Yeah.
And actually having meaning to, teams like Absolution.
Right.
And, like, giving some meaning to when there's a women's tag match. Because right now when women have a tag match, it's just filler. Or something to, stall a storyline along, or... You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely giving them something else to do would be good.
No reason for women to be aligned with each other.
No, I agree. It's always been kind of like the thing they do. They'll always stick women with other women for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, so I just think it's time. If you're going to evolve the division right, you got all this talent coming up. I totally think there's enough women's talent to give them their own show if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I got 205 Live on in the background. I would probably be much more intrigued by an all-women's show, because I just think there's just as much, if not more, talent with the women than there is 205 Live.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talent on 205 Live. So, I mean, WWE hasn't been shy to add more programming.
As long as it fits, like, within their, like, obviously they have to put it before, Raw or something like that. They don't seem to be willing to have a whole show, to itself. They're
I mean, they do the same thing they've been doing with 205 Live, where they have cruiserweight elements to Raw, and then they have their full show.
Right. Yeah, that would make sense. I'm not opposed to it. Although I'm not saying I would watch it personally, but it could be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably watch it just as much as I watch 205 Live and stuff like that. I mean.
I don't think I've ever watched an episode of 205
especially if you had the women's tag titles involved in that show. I would totally lead that to maybe just doing the one women's tag title, and then that would be strictly like kind of a whatever they call the women's show.
Okay. All right, now I'm on board. One women's tag title, and it's on the women's show. I would be down with. I'm not down with 2 tag titles. I just can't.
I wouldn't say that it's only down on that show, but like you have stuff that can revolve around the women's titles on the show,
and they can interact together on the one show. Not opposed. Yeah. Good idea. Submit it. Submit the idea.
All right. But then you still have the 2 women's belts or titles, as they want to call them. So I don't know how that would work on one show. Anyways, moving on.
So let's move on to what we are both looking forward to the most out of all this shit right now. It's 3 weeks away till the beginning of January. Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Bro, 2 weeks. Actually, Wrestle Kingdom is actually 2 weeks from tonight.
2 weeks from tonight. I'm looking forward to it. You got pretty good card, pretty good. Jericho and Omega has amped up big time in terms of the feud instead of just being a match. Now Jericho attacked him. I think a week and a half ago at this point, and then Omega attacked him at the press conference, which I love their press conferences. I think it's
well,
it's a good idea.
They treat it like a real fucking sport in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's just so raw, and Jericho's got to feel like I'm doing all the shit that I can't do in WWE.
Yeah, he said he loved the blood that he had to work with at from Omega's
attacking the blood, tipping tables over, dropping F-bombs.
Yeah. Well, big thing for that
so
is
it's so beautiful. But kind of related to Wrestle Kingdom, I was wondering if this is the case, but apparently Don Callis, who is just a great color commentator for New Japan, and when they do the English commentary, apparently got a job with Impact.
Yeah, he's like president or something like that. He's pretty high up there.
And, I can't remember who else it was.
Some guy that's behind the scenes. Yeah.
Scott D'Amore, who's another kind of. Well, apparently, Jericho was the one that recommended him for the job. And they gave it to him. And I'm kind of wondering, is this going to affect him commentating for Wrestle Kingdom? Because
I don't think it is. I think they've said...
he's been involved in the press conference. I know that's true, but that to me would be a big hit if you didn't get Don Callis, because he is probably the best color guy in the industry right now.
Yeah, well, he's very... No, I think Corey is still the best color commentator in the industry, but Don is very good.
Like, I'm not saying he's as good as him, but just to the Bobby the Brain or Attitude Era, Jerry the King Lawler type of entertainment.
I don't know, man. Corey's really fucking good. Like, he's really good.
Corey is good. Don't get me wrong. Corey has the ability to be as good, to be one of the all-time greats, but I think he's held back a little bit. Just, by the simple fact that they won't let him go full heel, and
I kind of like that fact. I kind of like the fact that he's not sitting there being totally heelish. I love the fact that he hates Elias. Even though Elias is a heel, he hates him. Like, he hates his music. And Elias is on.
He's always hated Enzo.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I like the fact that he's kind of his own.
No. But let's not compare him. We probably shouldn't do it with Don Callis either. Well, anyway, I am looking forward to hearing his commentary because I just love how he's such a Kenny Omega ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's the best when he's on his game with the Bullet Club. Yeah, I mean, any Bullet Club matches he's great with, and he's drops little tidbits and stuff like that. But I've heard he's still gonna be color commentating for New Japan because not all of their shows are English commentary anyway. So it's not like he has to be there every week.
It's a part-time job.
Yeah, definitely a part-time job. And he wasn't there for all of them anyway.
Hideo Itami made his main roster debut on Raw by rescuing Finn Balor.
I don't get it. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Little way to introduce him to the crowd.
Yeah.
Because 205 Live is apparently going to go on a tour, on a house show tour.
Yeah.
So I think the logic there is you're trying to, make as many guys look like a big deal to be part of that tour. Even though I hear that Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are going to be headlining that tour.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, because you want people to go and you want people to see the talent too. So that's fine. You're giving them an attraction.
So you want Tommy to seem like a big deal, and honestly, the Go to Sleep is one of the best wrestling finishers of the modern era. So it's good to see that showcased and again. So that was kind of a cute way to bring him back there and let everyone know that he's going to be, I guess, being on 205 Live is technically part of the main roster since you're touring with.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with Tommy coming to 205 Live and messing with the cruiserweights because, I mean, he's at the point where he's had so many injuries, and let's just get him on the roster and see if we can do something.
Let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
Like talk about, some guys just get to the point when NXT, they're like, bring him up, let's see what he's got, now or never. And we see that, even in baseball sometimes, like, just bring the guy up, let's see if he's got anything before we decide to cut him loose or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely at a point where they have so much talent that they got to trim the fat. And if there's nothing there with the Tommy, or just Tommy's not clicking with the WWE, it's not like it's been anybody's fault. It's not like they haven't pushed him. It's not like he hasn't tried. He just kept getting injured every time they were kind of putting it behind, putting the rocket on his ass. He got injured, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes it just happens that way. He's also not young, I don't think, either, so it's not like he's got, endless amounts of years ahead of him. So, I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I don't think you can say they haven't tried with him,
Yeah, and apparently the Revival came back. It didn't make the Hulu cut, but...
Yeah, it didn't make the Hulu cut. I had to go search for it myself, because I didn't watch the Hulu cut, I must have walked away from my screen at that point. And
was it just some jobber match or what?
Yeah, no, well, I guess, yeah, it was Rhino and Heath Slater versus the Revival. So, yes, it was a jobber match.
Right.
But they were back. Let's see if they can stay healthy. Obviously, I would think Vince and company are going to be a little weary of putting anything major behind them until they prove they can stay around for a little while. That's probably okay. Like, it's been a couple of, since WrestleMania, it's been a couple of stop and starts for them. So I could definitely see them being like, well, let's just have them beat some people up for a little while before we give them matches.
Right. Let's see here. We just saw the Undisputed Era win the tag titles at NXT. If I spoiled it for you, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's a show that films a month in advance. You can deal with the fact that there's spoilers. But yeah,
I got some notes on some outside the ring stuff with Justin Credible. Being drunk, but who cares? I hope he's all right. I like the guy back in the day.
He's going to DDP for help, so that's good.
Good for him.
Yeah, DDP is a fucking saint.
I wish I could go to DDP for help.
DDP
is the XFL coming back? I mean,
I could genuinely care less about football in general at this point.
I will say this. I do think if there was going to be a time to capitalize on people not liking the NFL anymore, this would be the time.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's. I think people misconstrue the NFL for like the people not standing during the flag or whatever it was, the national anthem. I just think, a lot of reasons why people are being turned off by the NFL is replay being so shitty, and
there's no good teams.
Many fucking commercials.
There's so many commercials. No good teams. This is oversaturation of their product. It's on all the fucking time now. It used to be Sunday
the
tradition.
High cost of Sunday ticket. I mean, I can go on and on about a million things that people are turned off about football that isn't just, because of stupid people not caring. Because most people don't give a fuck about the whole standing thing.
No, the standing thing. Look, if your team's good, you're not going to not go to the game. Let's bullshit on that.
I think it's a mix of it's ticket prices, it's the cost of Sunday ticket,
the cost of going to a game in general. The time in which it takes to go to a game, any football stadium, is an absolute fucking nightmare to get out of. I went to one game.
We're talking touchdown commercial, extra point commercial, kickoff commercial.
It's not an easy game to watch.
People, and a lot of it is the fucking head injuries and all that stuff that people are.
Well, the reality is we know now what it is, and I think a lot of us are like turned off by it, and that's where the XFL can make some changes too. And we don't have to get too into
I'm just
deep
saying,
into football with it.
My point was, this might be a better time to start a rogue league than it was in 2000.
It's a great time to start a rogue league. I just personally, it's already got stink on it, So
there's
It's
anyways,
you just want to break your jersey out again. I understand, but it's just it's the XFL already is considered a joke. So to me, I wouldn't bring that brand back. I would try to bring another brand back. What that brand is, I have no idea. But
first of all, I don't read any of those rumors. I don't think Vince at this point. I mean, guys, I don't see the reason why Vince would get himself in another venture at his age. Just keep going with the WWE.
Well, I heard the rumor that he started the company Alpha Sports or whatever the hell it's called. I think was that the stakeholders of WWE, the shareholders, don't want some of the older stuff that they're paying for, and Vince wants to keep all of his, I guess, company, all of his company's history, for himself, or at the very least in his family. So I think the idea is that if there's pieces of WWE that they want to sell off, that he can buy that with that company rather than it going to somebody else. and that's why he started that. But then at the same time, they renewed the trademark to the XFL, but that might have just been for the 30 for 30 that aired earlier in the year. So nobody really knows.
Oh, that's true.
But now with
or
all
maybe
the buzz,
they are, or maybe they'll make some merch and put it back on the store. I don't see any reason why not to do that. If it was
yeah, I mean, there's.
I would buy an XFL football, perhaps. I don't know.
I mean, there's that. There's also the fact that, okay, if all this happened and he wasn't thinking about it, he may be thinking about it now because now everybody's talking about it. So it's like, whoa, okay, maybe we should consider doing this. Maybe he's calling Dick Ebersol again and going, hey, let's have a conversation about this again because people are fucking losing their minds about it. I mean, people have been talking about it for a week.
Right. I mean, all I know is they can't do the no fair catch rule. That shit ain't gonna fly anymore.
I don't even remember the rules of it. But
they didn't have a kickoff. They basically, if I remember correctly, they just put a football at the 50-yard line and both teams ran towards it to see who got the ball first.
Well, yeah, that's not going to happen in this climate now, obviously, with head injuries.
No, and then you had no fair catch halo.
Yeah, none of that's going to happen. The hard-hitting aspect of it. But I think there's certain aspects they can take. One, I think I don't know how many players on the team. Did they have linemen? I don't even remember. But I would definitely...
Oh, yeah. It's basically the same stuff, but there was little things. See, nothing about the NFL and XFL's gimmick would work now. I mean,
no, but I would go to another level.
You had the scantily clad cheerleaders, doing more provocative stuff. That shit ain't gonna fly these days. So I don't really think anything about it would not like it was aged good at any point, but the XFL's concepts have not aged well.
No, but I mean, I think they can make changes that the NFL can't. That might help with the head injury thing. Maybe make it a little more finesse. Maybe take away replay. But like, I think they can eliminate the linemen and maybe go a little. Try some different stuff. I know it might be too arena football league like, but I think one of the big things is if you eliminate the linemen, those are two big culprits of CTE that will be gone. And obviously, the NFL can never do that because the union won't let them. But what do you mean linemen? Like instead of, or not eliminate linemen, but like instead of, how they just crash into each other as soon as they hike the ball. That's basically what they do a million times a game and in practice. Maybe eliminate that aspect of it a little bit. And have you ever watched arena football at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't line up like that. It's very, very different. It's much less crashing each other's heads into each other. So I think
part of that is just having a smaller field.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's changes that can be made that the NFL can't. Is my point. Less people on the field. I still won't watch it.
Time on, but anyway, I mean, I guess I kind of just found a rumored Hall of Fame class. If you want to start talking about it this far out, I don't know if you saw that.
Sure.
Goldberg.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, after that run, they get a little more Goldberg,
Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. He's dead, right, though?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Who would induct him? LT?
Who would induct LT? Is LT got all his devices now, or is he...
He called into Francesa's last show, so he's around.
Okay. Who and Bam Bam? Well, it could be somebody like Paul Heyman who kind of resurrected him with ECW.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah.
Ivory.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she had a nice
run. I always enjoyed Ivory.
I take her, but
I don't really know if it's worth asking who would induct her, but the Dudleys.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt. But
yeah.
Bubba Ray's kind of been astray lately, and he's been doing his Ring of Honor thing, I think.
Yeah, but I think he'd come back for the Hall of Fame induction.
Oh.
Yeah. And Devon's there. Devon will convince him. So I think, the Dudleys would make sense.
And I would bring back, well, I don't know who you'd have induct them, but I mean, I guess it could be anyone. It could be either Edge or Christian, or I would have Edge and Christian and the Hardys induct him.
You can do that. You can go with Dreamer. Dreamer can induct him.
Absolutely. It could be Dreamer. It could be Heyman.
Yeah. I mean, there's any number of people that would be willing to do it. I think, Dreamer had some pretty
Rob Van Dam. I mean, anyone from the ECW era.
I think you want people that can talk. Van Dam's not a big speaker. Like,
yeah.
You're not going to get a heartfelt speech out of him, I don't think.
Spike can come back and induct him.
Spike can do something, yeah.
and apparently Kid Rock to the celebrity wing or whatever. But to me, it's like, let's avoid anyone that has any type of political, whether it's left or right, from
Yeah.
Kid Rock.
I mean,
I mean, it's like
he's an asshole. It is what it is. He's done a lot with the WWE though. So I mean,
he has,
yeah,
definitely. It's not 1998, 99 anymore. I mean, it's like putting Limp Bizkit in the Hall of Fame. Like, who the fuck even knows
all
who
they
the guy
did
is?
was the one thing. But Kid Rock has always done a lot, and he's always provided a lot of soundtracks to their song to
Sure.
their stuff. So
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but
I mean, I definitely argue that he doesn't deserve it. That no celebrity really deserves it.
Bam Bam, I mean, I really think it's time. It's time. It's Vader time for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, especially, I mean, if you're not going by, if it's more than just WWE at this point, then there's endless amounts of people you can say deserve to be in at this point that aren't in. And I think we need to look into making sure that everybody's represented a little better.
Yeah, and I think this should be the year that Undertaker goes in, too.
Did they induct Sid?
What?
Did they induct Sid Vicious?
No.
They should do him, too.
Yeah, I
mean he spanned across like well over a decade. He was early 90s into the 2000s.
You also have to include now that the people they're inducting are WCW guys, and he definitely had a decent run in WCW too. I mean, obviously he's not going to make anyone's list of
are the Steiners
best
in?
work, but in terms of intimidation and size and strength and all that stuff, and honestly, I thought he was an underrated promo. But I mean, he's definitely on the list of not the greatest champions ever, but he had a good run.
Are the Steiners in?
No.
Then they should absolutely be in. Without a doubt.
Oh, the Steiners would be fantastic. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what Papa Pump is doing these days. So.
I mean, obviously, Owen Hart would be one I'd love to see at some point in time.
Yeah, but I mean, that sounds more like Owen Hart's wife is the issue than anything else.
And that's what it's been. I know that, especially, Bret's been very vocal of that. But as much as I love Bret Hart, a lot of times he can come off as a little bitter.
He does, but I think he's kind of gone on the side of WWE at this point where he's like, it's more, the induction is more for his fans, and his friends.
Absolutely dead on with that. I think Bret, I love it. And a lot of the things he says now, he's very out. I don't know if you ever heard his interviews lately, but he's very outspoken. And,
he's got nothing to lose.
He'll call Eric Bischoff a dumbass and all that stuff. He's very outspoken. There's about maybe 10% of him now that's kind of the old man yelling at clouds type of thing, too.
Yeah, he definitely has that with Rollins, right? He got on Rollins shit for injuring Balor.
And he retracted about it and said, I was sorry. At times he does pop off a little bit, but he did an interview, I want to say a few months ago, with Peter Rosenberg that was like, whoa. He said some crazy things, but I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was mostly bashing Eric Bischoff and talking about his time at WCW.
He walked in at the wrong time.
He was pretty spot on about. He was pretty spot on about probably anyway, but I really, off the top of my head, I don't know if there's anyone that deserves to go in. I don't know, maybe Bray Wyatt's dad, maybe IRS deserves to go in for all the things he's done.
I mean, look, the way I see it, if Coco Beware is in, then anybody really can be in this thing. I mean, there's plenty of people that can be in, but I think the Steiners are a good choice. Again, I don't know. I mean, I just, after listening to Pritchard's podcast, you kind of found out what Rick's doing these days. Who the hell knows what Steiner's doing, what Scott is doing. So you'd have to get them to, I guess, agree to it. But I think that would be a good choice. But maybe you wait a little bit. Maybe you wait for them to be in Detroit again with WrestleMania. That might be a good time to do it. Look at the hometown too and see who's.
I guess that would be a possible. Where is it next year?
Well, you mean this upcoming year is New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, or you know what? Maybe Brother Love gets it at some point.
I don't know, man. He's spilling a lot of beans. I don't know. I don't know if Brother Love's ever getting in, honestly.
But is he, though? Is he spilling any beans than anyone else? I mean, I guess he kind of is, but the dude is pretty much a company guy.
Yeah, he never really kills anybody, even Stephanie, who fired him. I mean, he doesn't really get on anybody's crap. But at the same time, I'm sure they don't like him spreading
he's revealing
the business. Yeah.
Yeah, he is kind of revealing how when the magician reveals how they do the tricks a little bit. But I mean, we're all smart to that shit now anyway.
Yeah,
if
but he's
if people weren't interested, his show wouldn't be getting 300,000 downloads.
No, it's a great show. It's a great podcast. I don't listen every week. It's the topic I care about. Obviously, I listened to all 5 hours of the Edge one. It just aired.
Yeah, just wrap that up today.
The Steiner one was good, but there's other ones I don't care about. I don't care about Goldust. I'm probably going to skip that one.
This week was a good one too. Watching, I know it's been a little easier for me since the wife and kids weren't here, but yesterday I enjoyed the Shivani podcast with the sound down, watching the program,
watching Starcade 99.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to do that. That's
if you can ever treat yourself to that, I highly recommend it. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever really can, but
I'm not saying you ever could, but I'm just saying if you can, it definitely makes it more enjoyable.
Right.
It's enjoyable without it.
It is. I mostly podcast listen in my car, so it's very difficult.
Me too. Absolutely. Sometimes when I have the place to myself at work, I'll do it. Sometimes I get to the point where I do so much driving or I'll run out of podcasts to listen to. That's rare, but I need to take on another one and maybe like that. I know I asked someone like a wrestling podcast. I can't listen to anything else. It just consumes me. That's why we had to start one, right?
Yeah, we think wrestling, we breathe wrestling. We don't do wrestling, but I did in my younger days. I did some backyard wrestling. It was not good, but that's why we're big wrestling fans, because all of other sports just disappoint us.
Yeah, well, for the most part. I mean, it's just that you don't have to worry about that emotional roller coaster of a, of a, I don't want to say real sport, but of a competitive sport.
Yeah, of unpredetermined sports. So, I think we touched on all the basics here. We have now 2 solid segments of this show.
Nice.
All right, guys, you can reach us. What are our handles again? You're the handle guy.
Twitter and Instagram at CoastIICoastPod on Twitter and Instagram. And you know what? Like, we had a nice streak of downloads.
Yeah, we
were at 16, 19, and 16. I mean, I know we're probably waiting a little late in the show to mention that, but man, we'd like to hear from somebody. I know we don't have. I mean, we're getting
somebody's
some
listening.
kind of.
Yeah, somebody's listening.
At some point, man.
Yeah, and I think maybe next week, maybe we'll surprise people, and maybe we'll do, because I figured out how to do a Facebook Live. Maybe we'll do a little Facebook Live, and we'll annoy our friends with a Facebook Live notification. Sure,
there'll all be a home sipping eggnog. We'll be ready for that.
Some eggnog. I'll get some coquito, and we'll hit it up. All right. See you everybody next week.